Extralegal Exposé.
A journalist exposes the Philippines' extralegal killings. In a 2023 news article by David Remnick, they reported on the life and works and the experiences of Patricia Evangelista, a journalist from Rappler and the author of her latest book, Some People Need Killing, about her experiences and about the social and political landscape in the Philippines during the regime of President Rodrigo Duterte. The news article is problematic or controversial insofar as it greatly endangers the subject of the particular report. The discussion particularly focused on the life of Patricia Evangelista and her experiences. However, in doing so, the reporters and the publication greatly endangered her safety, given that the Philippines is still not a very safe space. Still not a very safe space, especially when it comes to journalists reporting a lot of different sensitive topics in the country. On one hand, the news report covered the ethical principle of truth-telling, transparency, and fairness, because they primarily focused on the life and experiences of Patricia Evangelista, with her reporting a lot of extrajudicial and extralegal killings during the regime of President Rodrigo Duterte. A lot of different things, such as her experiences with covering those trauma reports with those victims of the extrajudicial killings, a lot of different reports with the police brutality and police violence that occurred during this regime were covered with this report. And so by doing this, they were trying to cover this very sensitive topic in a very exposed and in a very open light, so that a lot of different people could actually see and understand the kind of abuses and things that were happening in the Philippines during the regime of President Rodrigo Duterte.
As a primarily Catholic country, are these really the values we push?
The two primary ethical considerations in this particular news report is the principle of truth-telling and the ethical consideration with media ethics with regards to the safety and security of their subjects. On one hand, sure, the news article did report about each and every single thing that they've discussed in that interview, particularly with the conditions in the Philippines regarding the safety of journalists and the safety of Patricia Evangelista, particularly within her own home country. However, in that same vein, they violated the ethical consideration or the ethical issue of keeping the safety and security of their subjects intact. Sure, we've already established that in the Philippines, a lot of different abuses were being done to the media, to different journalists, particularly with the publication of Patricia Evangelista, Rappler. A lot of different conflicts within these different industries has created a very volatile environment, which just necessitates Patricia Evangelista to leave the country after publishing her book, Some People Need Killing. However, given that the report by the New Yorker had already published and had already stated that Patricia Evangelista will eventually return to the country, this significantly jeopardizes the safety and security of Evangelista, given that she would be greatly endangering herself and that the New Yorker would be greatly endangering their subject by reporting that this particular subject is going back to her country, which would just open up a lot of different possibilities for their opposition or for different parties involved to just target this particular person once they go back to their home country, and once they go back to doing their duties as an investigative reporter within the Philippines and within their publication, Rappler. Overall, the news report is ethically justifiable because of two primary principles. First would be the individual agency or the autonomy of the subject, and second would be the ethical principle of utilitarianism. On one hand, sure, the reporting of Patricia Evangelista's return to the Philippines greatly endangers her safety and security, given that we will be essentially reporting to her opposition or to the people who are concerned about her reporting of these different grave abuses of power, that she's back in the country and that she's already vulnerable once she enters the Philippines. However, we need to understand that Patricia Evangelista herself is already a reporter and is already a journalist. She is already well aware of the different harms and abuses that she might accrue once she gets back to the Philippines, and that this is a risk that she is willing to take for the purposes of just spreading the word and informing the masses that these different things are happening and that these different issues are still pervading the Philippine status quo. And on the other hand, in the ethical principle of consequentialism, we need to understand that the results or the impacts of her return to the Philippines is twofold. On the one hand, in the best case, that she will return to the country safely and that she won't experience a lot of different abuses and that she won't be killed. She's essentially going to be maintaining her safety and security by going back to the country, and that no harm was done by this particular news report. But on the very worst case, that she does experience a lot of different abuses, that she experiences violence once she gets back to the Philippines, we need to understand that the political messaging or the message or the information that would be spread, given that her attention and that given that her experiences as a reporter and as an investigative journalist, be yeah, would be greatly widened or would be greatly emphasized once she gets back to the country. If this would happen, a lot of different families that she's helped report their stories, a lot of different cases that she's helped handle would gain their closure, because at least at the very end of the day, the people who reported and the people that they trusted to like give these stories to, give these narratives to, would finally give their stories justice by returning back to their home country and by doing the thing that she's already been doing within their country, by being an investigative journalist, by being a reporter, and by being a member of the media industry within the country. The story of Patricia Evangelista is the story of every single journalist and media reporter in the Philippines who continually struggles with different abuses and grave abuses of power coming from the government and coming from people who wish to silence these different reports from ever happening within the Philippines. We need to understand that Patricia Evangelista's story of courage and resiliency echoes the story of every single paragon of truth within the country, every single person who serves the media industry and serves the people of the country, so that we can be better informed in a lot of different things that are happening within the Philippines.